Namaste everyone, I'm Sushmita and I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes to let people join for today's live. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about just the spiritual, mental and physical benefits of doing a yoga practice. So feel free to wait till the end and ask me any questions you might have. I hope this to be an interactive session, but at the same time to offer you valuable tools that have helped me and so many other yogis on this path of yoga. So hi everyone who's just joining, it's nice to have you on this live today. A short introduction about myself. My name is Sushmita Shrikant. I've been with Juru for maybe two years now, and we've done a lot of fun projects together. And I'm an Ashtanga teacher, and I've been practicing yoga for over 7 years, and I've been teaching for 5 years. I also study philosophy and really just enjoy this yogic path and sharing this with as many people as I can in this lifetime. So today I want to share just how this practice has helped me and why perhaps, introducing more yoga into your life can really transform it on many, many levels. I think the first thing is we want to look at yoga as a comprehensive system of self-purification. And what I mean by self-purification is just purifying ourselves on various levels, our physical level, on the intellectual level, on the level of the psyche, as well as on the emotional level. And because it's such a robust, comprehensive system for self-purification, it offers us a variety of tools to achieve this state, which is the goal of yoga, is said to be samadhi or moksha or liberation. But in a very practical sense, I want to help you find value in your daily life without necessarily having to contemplate the end goal, but still experience that on some level as you move through your daily, let's say, asana and pranayama practice. So let's start with just, of course, the physical level, because this is the most accessible to most of us. Most of us, we live in our bodies and we can really think that, there's a thinking mind up here and there's a feeling, sensing body down here. And I think this contrast between, I'm a thinking being and I do work and intellectual work, which is what's valued in today's world, and there is this body that I need to move and get healthy before I can do cool things with it like we see on Instagram. But I think the physical asana part of yoga is merely just an entry point. And most of us, we can spend decades here and still have tons to mine from this practice. Mostly because the asana is tangible. You see, the asana is a physical thing within which we can sort of still the mind or rest the mind. So each of these asanas serve as tools for us to really investigate the whole complex, the mind, body, chitta complex as they call it in Sanskrit. And so when we're confronted with asanas that feel hard, then we're confronted with ourselves. And when we have a daily yoga practice, it almost serves as a little bit of a mirror to gauge where we are in that moment, or where we are in terms of what else is happening in life. So when we have a steady, stable asana practice, maybe how you feel doing Surya Namaskars one day is completely different to how you feel the very next day. And because of this steady, stable mirror, it allows us to see ourselves a little bit better. And of course, over time, we see our hamstring flexibility improve. We see that we can do downward dog easily. But these are all just external measures of really something that's transforming inside. And I want to take a moment to contrast the difference between, just doing something like fitness or movement versus really entering yoga or entering the state of the asana, as I like to call it. The difference, I think, lies in, of course, your attitude to it, which is one, you're trying to, work specific muscles, get stronger in specific areas, versus a more holistic, let's try and move the energy throughout this body, this energetic complex. And the more we can move this energy, the more we can feel like dynamic in the rest of our lives. So it's true that while fitness works specific muscles and helps us get stronger, maybe what we're trying to do with yoga is we're trying to hit all of those things. So imagine like you're kind of using a dropper with many different small pots. So it adds a little bit in strength, it adds a little bit in endurance, it adds a little bit in flexibility. And together what this forms is a more robust nervous system functioning. And this really is where I want to like tell you the true value of yoga, at least for me and for many others. I'm sure they will agree that as humans, we're alike on this level. We're alike in the level of the nervous system. Your body may look different than mine, but on some level, you and I are the same in the way that our nervous system functions. And while, maybe doing extreme fitness and so on can increase endorphins in the body, doing something like yoga on a physical level, you can really feel, just the silence afterwards. And I'm sure some of you, have felt this right after Shavasana when you wake up and you feel like a new person. Now, this feeling is really precious because, you can see that your nervous system for once doesn't feel jittered, doesn't feel like it's on edge, but rather feels calm, feels more like level. And this quality in Sanskrit is called sama. You can see this in samavritti, you can see this in samadhi, you can see this in samastitihi. And the root word sama just means equalness, equanimity, evenness, and this quality. So as you move through the physical practice of asana, I really want you to kind of question the qualities that you're imbibing or the qualities that you're trying to cultivate as you move through, let's say, a 40 to 60 minute sequence every day on your mat. Because it's in cultivating those qualities or reminding yourself that it's more than just the way that the posture looks that you start to enter the deeper layers of the yoga. So on the physical level, of course, it gives us a lot of benefits. It reduces stress, helps us sleep better, really properly channels our energy, and so many other things that I'm sure you've read before. But subjectively, how does it feel on a physical level? It feels like our nervous system is for once actually at a steady, stable state. And imagine just a society, where our entire nervous system is not always on edge, which means we can we can be more efficient when we act in the world. We can respond to situations from a place of spontaneity, of pure receptivity, and totally just awake and alive to the moment and what it presents to us. Our nervous system won't sort of be jostled, and we can really take action cleanly and clearly. So that's, I think, one of the biggest physical benefits to having a yoga practice in your life. Now, let's move to a little bit of the mental side of it, which I'm sure a lot of us are concerned about, because we hear that it reduces stress, we hear that it helps us focus, but how does this actually feel? Like last week I was listening to this doctor, his name is Andrew Huberman. He has a podcast called the Huberman Lab. And he described these three things, which is essentially the Trishtana method from the yoga system, which has been around for 6,000 years or so. And so scientists are today really rediscovering the benefits of yoga on many levels, whether it's using scans or actually seeing how monks meditate. But fundamentally, if you looked at how it applies to you and me when we don't spend hours in our day meditating, how does it apply and how can we sort of practically cultivate a kind of mental focus or mental concentration using the yoga practice? It comes down to a little bit just clearing the conscious mind, So when you come to the yoga practice, just take a few seconds to allow yourself to be sort of shaped by the yoga practice, to clear away any conscious stuff that's on the surface. We call this vrittis. And we want to move towards a state of nirodha, which is, I'm sure you've heard, the goal of yoga. Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. But think of it more like a spectrum, So when you're at this place of a distracted mind, try and think of the yoga practice as a tool to discipline the mind towards the state of stopping it or reducing the amount of friction in the mind to a place where it actually feels still. And I want to kind of just go into this a little bit, because I think sometimes when we think of a still mind, we think, oh, I have to be super steady and I shouldn't think of any thoughts, and I should be, what's the point of a still mind? Because, you know, in today's world, the IITs and the smartest people are those that think. And so you're telling me, contrary to what has been told to me, you're telling me to not think. I'm trying to get you to understand that a still mind is not a vacant mind. It's not a mind that doesn't have any thoughts, that's like blank and just staring into space and like doesn't have any thoughts. It's actually, a still mind is a mind that's not cluttered by things in the past or things in the future, but rather is a vigilant mind, a mind that's totally receptive and that's clear enough to jump into any action. And then any action that you do is going to be pure, true action. So really, from that place of understanding why we need to work on the mental aspects as we move into the yoga practice, it's to achieve this state of nirodha, this state of simply a still mind. And a still mind can have many functions in the world that are diverse and subjective to each individual, but as a prerequisite for that pure action is a still mind. So to focus on the mental aspects of yoga means to focus on the internal landscape of the mind as you move through the practice. So let's take a moment to just kind of feel this for ourselves. You can close the eyes as you're listening to this and just take just one deep breath in and exhale, release. One more time, deep breath in. Exhale, release. And as you stay here, just observe this internal landscape of the mind. Whatever is within this brain, this like place of your awareness, and just stay focused on whatever pops up. And now for a few seconds, try your best to focus or concentrate the awareness within this attentional space. If you're still with me, just stay within the attentional space to the best of your ability and try to concentrate your awareness within this visual field. Now this is the essence of beginning a process of focusing. From a scattered mind, we're using our awareness to turn it on itself and focus and find ways of stopping this mind from going in different directions. And this is really the mental training. And this ties so neatly into spiritual effects of yoga, because frankly, if you thought about it, we think that, yoga is tied to Hinduism, which is a religion, which means that it has all these things about following a moral code of conduct, or maybe worshipping a certain deity, or achieving a state of being such that you're acceptable in society. But all these things aside, if you just stripped spirituality from its religious components, you would see that spirituality at its core is kind of like a mind training. And to be able to clear, so to speak, the mind so that it reflects the ultimate reality extremely clearly. And so if we were to look at the whole yoga practice as just polishing this mirror of the mind over and over again, then this can take us a whole lifetime to actually achieve. Because what we're trying to do here is not just polish the mirror of the mind, but we're trying to see ourselves clearly as well. See all of our vrittis, see all of our samskaras, see all the stuff that we've come into with this, our habits, our patterns of functioning in the world, and then slowly and gradually, step by step, purify and minimize all the thoughts in our head till we achieve that state of yoga. And so in terms of the spiritual benefits of yoga, of course, you feel like a purified energetic system, which allows you to have more of a presence, which allows you to be just more present in your daily life. And I think that that's more valuable than we think, because being present, of course, is a rare commodity in some cases in our lives today, mostly because we struggle to pay attention. We struggle to come back and appreciate this moment right here. And when we have the chance to do so, we must utilize it fully. And so just to give you a small recap of all that I talked about today, it's very simple. When you think of the yoga practice as asana separate from pranayama, separate from yoga nidra, it seems to be that it's a disjointed thing with multiple styles and a confusing path altogether. But if you can subjectively focus on reducing and minimizing just the amount of stuff that comes up during a simple asana practice, think of it as moving closer towards the goal of yoga, which is that chitta vritti nirodha thing that you're trying to cultivate and embody in your daily life. And of course, there's tons of stuff you can learn about technique, about learning to really hone your power, get stronger, more flexible. But if you can achieve a state of clarity, calm, and receptivity in your daily life, that could be indispensable in everything else. Imagine living a life where you don't feel so distressed by your problems because you're able to clear away the conscious mind every so often. You're able to go deeper and feel what you're really feeling, and then you're able to have a safe container to release whatever needs to be released and to work on whatever needs to be worked on. And I think if we're just in a state of nervous system go, we don't find enough relaxation or settling to truly act and create change in our daily lives. So just to me personally, I think yoga is a super comprehensive system and can create radical self-transformation if you choose to use all of the tools that it offers you. But to view just even one of the limbs of the yogic practice and to really take that, imbibe that, and to act upon it can change our lives in so many ways. So think of it like adding a little bit of curd into milk. Even an inoculum of yoga in your daily life can basically have ripple effects in every other aspect of your life. You might have heard this before. It says yoga ruins your life, and many yogis will tell you the same. It's mostly because yoga cuts you off from things that you weren't meant to be doing. It kind of disciplines your life and gives the banks, like the river, some banks, like it's putting a conscious directed flow to the life force that's already moving, that we can't prevent. So I think if you were to introduce a little bit of yoga in your life, try your best to view it not just as one thing that you do on the mat for, let's say, 30 to 45 minutes, but to try and view it as something that is an inoculum for change in every other aspect of your life, whether it be just your work or your relationships or your overall health, not just your physical health. Then think of the yoga practice as sort of the thing that you're kickstarting to create a chain reaction in all these other areas or realms of your life. And I think when you start to view it like this, the yoga practice will make sense as not just something that you do while you're still fit, but as something that is a lifelong thing that you can keep coming back to, regardless of your age, regardless of what you're feeling. But only one thing that will prevent you from really progressing in the yoga practice is like resistance to see yourself clearly, or of course laziness and inconsistency that we all suffer from time to time. So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to take a small pause in case there's any questions or anything that I can answer. I'm here for a couple more minutes. Feel free to drop your questions and I'll respond. And while we're waiting, just to give you a little bit of heads up about some plans that we have. If you guys haven't attended a retreat in a year or two, I'm sure you felt like you want to do more in-person things, interact with teachers, and introduce an inoculum of yoga into your life. For sure, we're trying to do more retreats this year. So check out the Juru Yoga website. It'll give you a lot more clarity on our upcoming retreats and so on, that you're more than welcome to join. Thank you so much. Is it important to integrate all aspects of yoga on the mat? Before that, the first question was, what drink am I having? I'm having samahan. It is a mix of many herbs. It's really good for the throat. So I'm having that. The second question is it important to integrate all aspects of yoga on the mat? It is absolutely important important to integrate all aspects of yoga on the mat, just because, the mat serves as a reminder for you to access all of this philosophy in a very tangible, simple form of the asana. Think about this Yoga Sutra, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Imagine your body to be the field of the chitta, and every movement in your body is a turning of the mind. And when you come into a state of the asana, you're trying your best to still the mind and to create this sense of nirodha within the structure of the body. And of course, you're accessing all these other things like the breath, which is the effect of pranayama. You're allowing the energy to move through this entire chitta field, and you're trying your best to hit all these aspects of yoga, but through the simple tool or the portal like an asana. And the asana is perfect because, everyone can do it. We all have bodies and we all have our own limits and abilities, but we do have the plasticity to change that. First on the mental level, and second on the physical level. But the way to access all these different aspects through the yoga practice itself is to have a small dedicated study time, so you can integrate the philosophy and all these other aspects and remember as you move through the asana sequence. I hope that's okay. Which is the best time to do yoga? I would definitely say the best time to do yoga is in the morning, and as early as possible. Now, recently I've been waking up at 3:15 a.m. to do yoga at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. But it really depends, how early you can wake up. And I would say if you have work at 8:39, which is when usually people go to work, try your best to finish it off before 8 a.m. Just because, your stomach is still empty and you feel like you can really step into the mat without having too much in your stomach. I like to have a little bit of triphala and just to keep my colon cleansed, and I can enter the mat after I shower, have this colon cleanse and this body cleanse, and then I step on the mat. Just first thing in the morning is the best time to do it. It's also because, if you finish your yoga practice, you finish your shavasana, you can actually go out and maybe see sunrise. It really activates parts of your body and it tones the vagus nerve. You feel much more energetic and you start your day on a right note. And we all want ourselves to wake up earlier, but it's just a little hard, You have to push yourself to try it enough till it becomes integrated and you see value in it, and then there's no shaking it off, after that. Can I do yoga after having a full plate of fruits or a smoothie? So, try your best to do it, have a full plate of fruits or a smoothie right after your practice. The reason being, you can, it is your body after all. You can do yoga if you just have a full plate of fruits or a smoothie. But the thing is, if the less you have before you do the practice, the more you're able to engage the bandhas. Now just imagine if my body and my belly is full, I can't engage my Uddiyana bandha fully. I can't draw in my belly till the point where I feel like, I'm really pulling the energy up. Which is of course the essence of Hatha Yoga, right? To be able to use and direct the energy is what we're learning in this entire process. So I definitely say, try to push it right after, because you'll actually feel like you want that more, and the nutrients will get absorbed more, and you'll feel like, this is a reward for really doing the inner work and cleansing first before adding in some more. Yeah? Okay, wait, we have one more question here. I think I missed it, but if there's any other questions, feel free to pop them in again so I can keep responding. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your kind attention. Because it is ultimately, just in the level of our attention that we can transform our lives. Maybe you're just listening to this today over the screen, but somewhere inside of you, there is a part of you that's like, hey, maybe I should try this more. If you're doing it 3 times a week, maybe you're going to try and do it 6 times a week. Because it's not like you can do enough yoga in the asana form, but you can do yoga in your daily life off the mat, in every other aspect of your life. Because it is in that integration, or that taking the insights that you learn from the asana practice and applying it into other parts of your life, where the true transformation occurs. So maybe you're listening to me and there's one or two things that click, but as long as it pushes you more in the direction of, okay, let me look into this, maybe there's something more in this, you'll find ways, and the universe will present you with opportunities of learning and expanding this knowledge base that you have. Can I do oil massage before yoga? So what I like to do with oil massages is, so always, like I said, keep your yoga practice in the morning. If you need to do a short practice in the evening because of whatever, you can do so in the evening. But when you do an oil massage, try to do your oil massage on your rest day when you can actually take the time to sleep. So a good idea is to put castor oil on your joints. Really good for the joints. And if you have like pain or you're doing a lot of asana practice, really nice to put castor oil. You don't even need to go to a massage therapist every single week, but try your best to restrict it to the day that's your rest day. And then when you do the oil massage, you'll actually feel like, okay, I can sleep after this, or I can rest completely after this. Because if you do an oil massage before you do yoga, your body is going to be loose, of course, and you're going to feel fine. But just to give some rhythm to the recovery and the putting in of the effort. It's like the abhyasa and the vairagya, right? So let's say you work three times or 5 times a week. Then the time that you rest, you fully rest. You detach and you let go and you do oil massages, and it's really good for your body. But the time when you're doing your abhyasa, when you're in practice, try your best not to relax and just let go, because you have time for that. And to put in all the effort and have the other wing of relaxation available to you in the same week is a good way to balance the oil massage thing. Okay. What concept around yoga are we having a conversation about? We're having a conversation about the ways in which yoga affects the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and the entire psyche, and how it relates to valuable insights that you can have outside of the mat. So basically what we were talking about, I'm sure you joined a little late, is the concept of yoga being not just something that you do on the mat for 30 to 50 minutes every day, but rather a way of life, and how introducing more yoga into your life can have tangible benefits on each of these realms. Of course, the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and yourself, in your daily life, in your relationships and everything else. There's one more. Okay. Awesome. So just to give a little recap about the sama and the equanimity, the root word sama means equalness or evenness. And the reason we need to cultivate an equal or even mind is because a still mind is not something that's vacant, that's empty, that's not capable of action, that's just sitting like a rock on some place. But rather it's a purely responsive, it's a completely spontaneous, it's a vigilant mind that's capable of true and right action. So when we think of stilling the mind and coming to a place of equanimity, the mind might not accept it so much, because there's a lot of resistance and stuff to think about. We are rational human beings, and thought has been said to be the highest faculty of us as humans. So why not do more of that? But as thinking things and thinking beings, we can sometimes just go in loops of thought without conscious directed thought force guiding that thought flow. So thinking is all about generating thought, but coming to a place of samasthitihi or samavritti or samadhi is to not generate anymore. So just think of yourself like standing in the front of the mat before you begin your practice, and just take a moment to empty out. When you empty out like that, take 3 to 5 seconds to use the word consecration to try and contemplate your relationship to the word consecration, and see the way in which you empty your mind out and just kind of download it. And then you allow the subconscious mind to work, you go deeper into the body, you stop being a thinking being up here and a feeling moving being down here. But ultimately what it does is you stop generating. So you stop generating excuses, you stop generating beliefs that aren't true about yourself on the mat, and then you just achieve this kind of stillness or this state of sama, which is the most useful thing in everyday life too, right? If we just could act from a place of clarity and calmness, our action would be more fruitful for everything. Can I only stick to Surya Namaskars and a little meditation in stretching? Yes, it depends really on your body and how much you're capable of, what your age is, what you're going through in life right now. But what I would say is Surya Namaskars, meditation, and a little bit of pranayama and stretching and breathing is plenty. It's plenty. If you use it and extract strength from the Surya Namaskars. See, you can do 1 Surya Namaskars, you can do 108 Surya Namaskars. You can do 2 minutes of meditation on an app, or you could sit for 2 hours and do Vipassana meditation and have a daily practice. So it's really the scope within which you're willing to go deep enough to take the same Surya Namaskars. So if you took Surya Namaskars as a tool to sort of make repetition a kind of thing where you observe yourself over and over again and find new ways of stopping thought, coming into the body, feeling your breath, clearing your nadis, really working the energetic system, then it's going to be super effective. However, if you stop yourself at that point and say, okay, I'm only going to do Surya Namaskars, I'm only going to do 20 minutes of meditation every day and a little bit of stretching, is that enough? Then you're limiting yourself in some ways, because we must first get to that 4% point where true change starts to happen, when we push ourselves a little bit more. So I'd say try and explore just the scope of Surya Namaskars, the scope of a little bit of stretching and a scope of a little bit of meditation, and don't limit yourself up here. Then it will stop feeling like, hey, I can actually do more and I am limiting myself, and you'll be able to do much more. I hope that helps. How exactly have you acquired so much knowledge? Can you please guide me? It's been a decade of study. I think definitely having Advaita Vedanta very early in my teenage life. I studied in an ashram, has been a good interception into my life to get me to see, that there's a bigger picture than finishing your SATs or doing 10th standard exams properly. And I think because those thoughts were somewhere in the background of my mind, I started to direct my life in such a way to just simply, out of pure curiosity, explore that question. And, they say when the student is ready, the master appears. It was exactly like that. The right mentors appear, the right people, like platforms, even puja with Juru, the right people just come into your life to teach you things, as well as life experiences, of course, help you a lot. But I think the way in which I acquired knowledge the most is through dedicating time to study, whether it was spending time reading interpretations of the Yoga Sutras, or reading, contrary to that, actually seeing where in real life, like podcasts and things, are people talking about the benefits of yoga, but in slightly different contexts. So it would be like athletic training and then yoga. So I would read that research paper and I would spend some time nerdily taking notes and really learning it. But mostly it came from a place of, if I can imbibe and integrate these things into myself, then I'll be able to share it with someone in a much simpler way than I had to sort of input it into my system. Because I think one of the reasons we're here on earth is to take this body of knowledge, and yoga is like an ocean, It's like me going with a little teaspoon to the ocean and saying, okay, I've taken this teaspoon, but it's my obligation to turn that teaspoon of water into so much more, and give it out and repurpose it and really try and contemplate it in my own way and put it through the filters with which I view the world. So I think the way I've acquired so much knowledge is definitely by applying it in my daily life in different contexts and seeing, okay, yoga is not just something that we do on the mat, but it's this mental framework that gives life to us in so many ways. There's one more question. Give me some tips to wake up early. Okay, give me some tips to wake up early. I think the waking up early comes from the night before. That's mostly what I can say. So these days, like I just mentioned, I've been having to wake up at 3:15 a.m. because I'm in Mysore currently and we're doing classes every day. So I had to wake up at 3:15 a.m., which means my day has to start winding down by 7 p.m. So I think don't think of waking up early in isolation. If you want to start waking up early, let's say you wake up at 7 a.m. now. I don't know if that's accurate, but let's say you wake up at 7 a.m. and you'd like to wake up at 6 a.m. So observe your nighttime sleep routine and see, are you sleeping at 11 or 11:30? Try and shave just half an hour of the night first. So begin to start aiming to sleep at 10 and then at 9:30, depending on how early you want to wake up. But I'd say instead of just focusing on the wake up time and beating yourself up of how you feel, try and make a better nighttime, a wind down routine, so then it helps you wake up more refreshed in the morning. And it's not like you don't want to wake up, it's just that your body feels like it needs more rest, and give it that rest. If you really need to wake up early, then take a nap. If you really need to wake up early to get your practice in, to do this stuff, then compensate in other ways, like have more fluids or get more rest generally, not by expending too much energy. I think that's another real thing that yoga teaches you. You need a lot of energy to take on this path. A lot of energy, and the more energy you can accumulate, even in the body, let's say you're trying to do a really hard asana, you need more prana accumulated in the system to be able to exercise it in something as conscious and directed as an asana, right? So what I would say is, try your best to see where your energy leaking points are during the day. It could be like socializing too much. It could be scrolling too much. It could be just any point in the day where you find you're expending too much energy. Try your best to kind of see your body and retract that energy back into yourself. Accumulate the prana and be like, okay, this is my energy and I want to conserve it because I need to wake up in the morning and do something worthwhile. So it's just like an athlete, really hone in on all your distractions and everything. Try and conserve your energy, and then you can use it to whatever you want to do, whether it's waking up early, getting progress in some asana that you're struggling with, or whatever you're trying to do, or even something in real life. If you just kind of see it that way as observing energy leaks and then trying to correct small behaviors over a period of time, you'll be able to do it, I trust. Is there any other questions, guys? Feel free to put them in the comment box. I'd be more than happy to help. Yes, I can be your mentor. Thank you so much. Okay guys, if there's anything else you want to ask or anything else you'd like to share from the session, I'm happy that I could have shared this. This wasn't prepared, this was just me kind of speaking my heart out on something that has really transformed me on a cellular level. So feel free to reach out at any time if you feel like you want some mentorship or guidance. I'm more than happy to do so. And thank you so much for your kind attention, because I think attention is the most valuable thing, in today's world. We click through Instagram and you can see a live for about 2 seconds and close off. But if you've been watching all the way till now, I want to just really applaud you for being able to follow your thread of attention till the very end. So really, with love and gratitude, thank you. Thank you so much. Namaste.